So the chapter opens up with a flashback to a few days after Izuku had initially left UA, like back in the chapter 306, 307 area. And Shoto and Bakugo are basically figuring out that Izuku is probably going to be with the top 3 heroes. And Ida's like, why don't you guys just contact your mentors? Because, we happen to have 3 students who are linked to the top 3 heroes. And they're like, we tried multiple times, but they didn't respond. We actually saw this a couple chapters back with like Endeavor straight up ignoring like Shoto's text. And that's funny because it's kind of come full circle, because originally it was Shoto who was ignoring Endeavor's text. And then they're like, well, they must be hiding something from us then. But then Jiro says something pretty interesting when she's like, from what I remember, All Might hasn't come back either, right? So the last time I think we saw All Might was when Izuku was having like that falling out with him, when he was like, you don't need to follow me anymore. I don't really need you. In fact, I'm actually able to move just as well as you did with One for All. So see ya. And he just pieced out of there and like left All Might like literally on his knees. But it was also revealed that Stain was there the whole time. He was like chilling behind this wall. But unfortunately that sequence ended there and we don't know what happened. But considering what Jiro said, All Might hasn't returned, and that's not good. Because back when all that stuff was revealed, we thought, oh man, is this when All Might dies? Is Stain gonna kill All Might? And nothing happened from it. At the minimum, I thought they were gonna like talk or something, but now it seems, pretty sinister. I'm just so excited to see what's going to happen with that storyline. But it's also being revealed here that classes have been suspended and that their graduation has also been delayed, and that the Hero Course students have been placed on standby and asked to help secure the perimeter. So before this, we didn't really know what was going on with the academia side of things. Technically, they should be second years right now, and we the fans were pretty excited about that. But then the war happened, and it kind of just threw a wrench into all that stuff, and apparently their graduation has been delayed. And I guess the same goes for like the second, third years too. But then Bakugo figures out that All Might is probably tied to this whole operation as well, because if Izuku was so worried about going to UA, because of the possibility that All for One or the League of Villains or whoever might track him there, then why would he take the risk of going there to drop off the letters to let Class 1A find out about everything that's going on? One for All for One, how Izuku ties to it, why he can't come back anymore. So he figures, it had to be All Might that dropped off those letters. Then Kaminari is basically like, maybe we shouldn't really be too worried about Izuku, because if he is in fact with the top 3 heroes, then I guess he's okay. But then Bakugo's like, when it comes to Deku or All Might, I know them better than anyone. And this is the worst possible scenario you could think of. And then they're like, well, I guess we just need to figure out a way to contact them. And then Uraraka steps in, who I'm really liking in this chapter, and she's like, Endeavor is a UA alumni, right? Well then, let's be a little pushy. First, this video is sponsored by the Listen But Don't podcast. Here's a clip from the show, check it out.
Hang on, we gotta keep moving though. I'm
still
recording.
I'm trying to explain to you why I brought up caffeine cigarettes.
Okay.
But you kept on
hurry up then.
It's your fault.
Next.
You keep on interrupting my You keep interrupting and you're not letting me explain it.
Remember Dave Chappelle's wrap it up button? That's all I need for you.
Because you kept interrupting me.
I'm just joking. I'm joking.
Done with it. I don't want to explain
it.
No,
because I'm just still going.
You need to stop interrupting me.
It's just I'm
like, stop.
Sorry.
Just completely stop. I'm not gonna explain it now.
You will finish in a minute. Just hang good.
No, I'm not gonna finish because I was trying to explain it.
Okay.
You have 2. One.
Finish it up.
And one in your mouth.
Finish it up.
No, it's too late. I don't want to talk about it.
So if you'd like to check out the Listen But Don't podcast, the links will be in the description. Thanks again. And then it cuts to a few days later and we see Nezu summoning Endeavor at UA, but also tricking him into having an audience with Class 1A. And then Shoto's finally able to confront him and he's like, why are you ignoring? Didn't you say that we would stop Toya together? And Endeavor's like, that sentiment alone was what saved me back then, back when they were in the hospital after the war. And then Shoto's like, I don't feel saved at all. Is Izuku an exception here? You're letting Deku and All Might act together, aren't you? And then Bakugo steps in. He's like, calm down a little bit, Shoto. Like, yeah, you probably made the right call. Well, at least it's close to the right call. You don't understand anything about Deku. That nerd is insane. He doesn't take himself into account. He always just insists he's fine. It's the same way All Might became the symbol of peace. We can't stop him. We can't just let them be. So then Endeavor pulls out his phone and Sero's like, isn't that the one with GPS? And then Endeavor like throws the phone to the students and they grab it. The implication here is that they're going to use that to track where Izuku's phone is, therefore finding Izuku's location. And then Ida's like, we the members of Class A will follow him wherever he decides to go. Midoriya is our friend. And Endeavor's like, you know, it's dangerous outside, guys. There's a whole bunch of villains running everywhere. And then Nezu cuts in. He's like, haven't they grown up yet? I mean, they were just literally in a war. You know, I thought it would be best if they teamed up since he didn't want to come back to UA. But he's allowed to come back now. And then Endeavor's like, what about the safety of the evacuees? He's talking about like the families of like the students that came over to UA to like live there as a precaution, you know, against all the villains and All For One and everything that's out there right now post-war. And then going further, Nezu says the designated evacuation areas weren't only chosen based on square footage. We prepared it when we reinforced the school for the cultural festival, but we never ended up using it. The UA security barrier. So either this is just like letting Endeavor and the audience know that like, hey, if you know Izuku comes back to UA, it's gonna be okay. I know the whole reason he left was to not have All For One or the villains come after him, but it's okay. Even if that happens, we have the UA security barrier. So kind of just putting us at ease. Or we are in fact going to see this thing come into play because once Izuku comes back to UA, it is in fact going to get raided by villains. So after this, we're picking up from the ending of the previous chapter where Class 1A has finally met up with Izuku at Kamino. And they're also taking care of the dictator villain that was there. And Izuku's like, everyone, why? And Uraraka says, because we're worried about you. And Izuku's like, I'm okay. Looking like a hardcore villain right now, by the way. That's why you shouldn't worry about me. Stay back. And Bakugo's like, that's good to hear, as expected of His Majesty, the successor of One For All. So after this, can you still keep smiling? You know, reference to like the All Might Nana symbol of peace thing. And Izuku's like, to be able to smile, for people to live in peace, I need to keep moving forward. So all of you get out of my way. Like Izuku getting pretty aggressive here with his classmates. But then Bakugo, Ida, and Uraraka are not backing down. And Bakugo's like, just try and make us, you All Might wannabe. And Ida says, we know you won't change your mind. Let's go, guys. And Uraraka's like, yeah, so this is amazing. It really does seem like we're going to have Izuku versus Class 1A here, especially like the ending narration here when it says clashing emotions, fierce classmates versus Class A begins. And I am beyond excited for this. This is something that I think most of us had wanted at some point. Like, what would happen if like this new super powerful Izuku were to go against Class 1A? And we're finally gonna get it here. Now, also another thing to take into consideration is that Izuku is like exhausted and, you know, not, you know, in the best mental health right now. So it's possible that like those might come into play here, and Class 1A straight up defeats Izuku. It's not gonna be easy and it's not guaranteed, but I think it will be competitive at the minimum, and it's not going to be like a squash match the way that like Mirio versus Class 1A was. But yeah, it seems like they might forcefully just straight up take Izuku back to UA now. But let me know what you think is going to happen in the comments. What do you think about this chapter? If you liked the review, guys, please give it a like and please subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great day. I'll see you in the next one.